CompuServe, the Internet pioneer that AOL destroyed. In 1969, while most Americans were watching Neil Armstrong take his first steps on the moon, a small group of engineers in Columbus, Ohio were about to launch their own giant leap for mankind. CompuServe Information Service would become the world's first major commercial online service, pioneering virtually every aspect of what we now call the Internet experience. 23 years before Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web, CompuServe was already connecting people across continents, enabling email, file sharing, and online communities. At its peak in the mid-1990s, CompuServe commanded 3 million subscribers and generated over $1 billion in annual revenue. The company's innovative spirit gave birth to the GIF image format, created the first online chat rooms, and established the template for digital commerce that Amazon and eBay would later follow. Yet by 2009, this internet pioneer had been completely absorbed and dismantled by its former rival America Online, becoming nothing more than a footnote in digital history. This is the story of how the company that invented online life was ultimately killed by the very market it created. CompuServe's origins trace back to 1969, when Jeffrey Wilkins and Alexander Trevor founded CompuServe Network as a computer time-sharing service in Columbus, Ohio. The concept was revolutionary for its time. Instead of companies purchasing expensive mainframe computers, they could rent processing time on CompuServe's machines through telephone connections. Golden United Life Insurance became their first client, paying to access CompuServe's computing power for actuarial calculations. The business model proved so successful that within 2 years, the company was serving dozens of corporate clients across the Midwest. In 1973, H&R Block, the tax preparation giant, recognized CompuServe's potential and acquired the company for $5.7 million, providing the capital needed for massive expansion. Under H&R Block's ownership, CompuServe's engineering team began developing something unprecedented, a consumer-oriented online information service that ordinary people could access from their homes using personal computers and modems. The launch of CompuServe Information Service in 1979 marked the beginning of the consumer internet era, though few people recognized it at the time. For a monthly fee of $8.95 plus hourly usage charges, subscribers could access news, weather, sports scores, and stock quotes through their home computers. The service initially attracted computer enthusiasts and early adopters, but CompuServe's leadership understood they were building something much larger than a niche product. The company's proprietary network infrastructure, known as CompuServe Network Services, connected users through local phone numbers in major cities, eliminating expensive long-distance charges that had previously made online services prohibitively costly. By 1982, CompuServe had reached 10,000 subscribers and was adding new services weekly, including electronic mail, bulletin board systems, and downloadable software libraries that would later evolve into modern app stores. CompuServe's true genius lay in recognizing that people wanted to connect with each other, not just access information. In 1980, the company launched CB Simulator, the world's first real-time chat system that allowed users to communicate instantly across vast distances. The CB Simulator featured 40 channels where users could adopt handles and engage in conversations that often lasted hours, creating the first online communities in human history. CompuServe followed this breakthrough with special interest groups, or SIGs, which were dedicated forums for discussing specific topics ranging from computer programming to cooking recipes. These forums became incredibly popular, with some individual SIGs attracting thousands of regular participants who formed genuine friendships and professional relationships. The company's forum structure became the template for every online community that followed, from Usenet newsgroups to modern social media platforms like Reddit and Facebook. The technical innovations that emerged from CompuServe during the 1980s fundamentally shaped how we interact with digital information today. In 1987, CompuServe engineer Steve Wilhite created the graphics interchange format, better known as GIF, to solve the problem of sharing images across different computer systems. The GIF format became so ubiquitous that it survived the transition from dial-up bulletin boards to the modern internet, remaining popular for memes and animations decades later. CompuServe also pioneered error-correcting file transfer protocols that ensured software downloads completed successfully despite unreliable phone connections. The company's shopping service, launched in 1984, allowed users to purchase products online years before the term e-commerce existed, featuring detailed product catalogs from major retailers like JCPenney and Computer City. CompuServe's electronic mall generated millions in revenue and demonstrated that consumers were willing to trust online merchants with their credit card information. By 1990, CompuServe had evolved into something approaching a modern internet service provider, offering email addresses that worked internationally, access to thousands of databases, and premium content from publishers like Grolier Encyclopedia and The Washington Post. The company's subscriber base had grown to 600,000 users, with many paying over $100 monthly for extensive usage. CompuServe's unique addressing system used numerical identifiers like 70061101 instead of text-based email addresses, which many users found confusing but demonstrated the service's technical sophistication. The company dominated the business market for online services, with major corporations using CompuServe for everything from research to international communications. Wall Street analysts praised CompuServe's recurring revenue model and predicted continued growth as personal computer ownership expanded throughout American homes and offices. However, CompuServe's success had attracted attention from an aggressive competitor that would ultimately prove its downfall. America Online, founded in 1985 as Quantum Computer Services, initially focused on providing online services for specific computer brands like Commodore and Apple. AOL's founders, Steve Case and Jim Kimsey, carefully studied CompuServe's business model while developing their own strategy for mass market appeal. Where CompuServe emphasized technical capabilities and comprehensive information access, AOL prioritized user-friendly interfaces and simplified pricing structures. In 1991, AOL introduced unlimited monthly plans for $19.95, dramatically undercutting CompuServe's usage-based pricing that could easily exceed $100 per month for heavy users. AOL's marketing campaign targeted mainstream consumers with promises of easy internet access, while CompuServe continued focusing on business users and computer enthusiasts who appreciated technical sophistication over simplicity. The competition between CompuServe and AOL intensified throughout the mid-1990s as both companies raced to capitalize on exploding consumer interest in online services. AOL's aggressive marketing tactics included mailing millions of free trial diskettes and CDs to American households, a strategy that cost hundreds of millions of dollars but generated massive subscriber growth. CompuServe responded by launching CompuServe WOW in 1996, a simplified interface designed to compete directly with AOL's user-friendly approach. However, CompuServe's efforts to mainstream their service came too late and confused their existing user base without attracting significant numbers of new subscribers. AOL's subscriber count skyrocketed from 200,000 in 1992 to over 6 million by 1996, while CompuServe's growth stagnated around 3 million users. The fundamental problem was that CompuServe had built their service for early adopters who valued technical capabilities, while AOL designed theirs for ordinary consumers who wanted simple access to email and basic online features. Wall Street began losing confidence in CompuServe's long-term prospects as AOL's marketing blitz demonstrated superior subscriber acquisition capabilities. In February 1997, facing increasing pressure from investors and mounting losses from their failed WOW service, H&R Block agreed to sell CompuServe to WorldCom for $1.2 billion. However, the deal included a bizarre arrangement where AOL would acquire CompuServe's subscriber base and brand name, while WorldCom would take over the company's networking infrastructure business. This complex transaction essentially handed CompuServe's customer base directly to their primary competitor, eliminating any possibility of independent recovery. AOL paid $175 million for CompuServe's 2.6 million subscribers and immediately began migrating them to AOL's platform, effectively ending CompuServe's role as an independent online service provider. Under AOL's ownership, CompuServe transformed from an innovative technology leader into a legacy brand maintained primarily for customers who resisted migration to AOL's service. AOL initially promised to preserve CompuServe's unique features and technical capabilities, but these commitments proved hollow as the company systematically dismantled CompuServe's infrastructure and eliminated distinctive services. The famous CompuServe forums, which had fostered online communities for nearly 2 decades, were gradually shut down or merged with AOL's inferior message board system. CompuServe's comprehensive databases and premium content partnerships were abandoned in favor of AOL's simplified content strategy focused on entertainment and lifestyle topics. The numerical email addresses that had made CompuServe users easily identifiable were eventually phased out, severing one of the last connections to the service's pioneering heritage. The final chapter of CompuServe's existence played out during the 2000s as AOL itself struggled with the transition from dial-up to broadband internet access. Time Warner's acquisition of AOL in 2001 for $165 billion created additional pressure to consolidate redundant services and reduce operating costs. CompuServe's remaining subscribers, numbering fewer than 200,000 by 2004, represented a shrinking market of dial-up users unwilling or unable to upgrade to high-speed internet connections. AOL maintained minimal CompuServe operations primarily to extract the last revenue from this declining user base while investing nothing in service improvements or technological updates. In 2009, AOL finally discontinued the CompuServe brand entirely, migrating the last remaining subscribers to generic AOL accounts and eliminating the final vestiges of what had once been the world's premier online service. The destruction of CompuServe represents more than just a corporate acquisition gone wrong. It symbolizes how innovation leadership can be quickly lost when companies fail to adapt to changing market conditions. CompuServe's engineers had created virtually every fundamental component of the modern internet experience, from email and file sharing to online communities and e-commerce. Yet the company couldn't translate these technical achievements into sustainable competitive advantages. AOL's triumph demonstrated that marketing effectiveness and user experience design often matter more than technological sophistication when competing for mainstream consumer markets. The irony is profound. AOL's simplified approach to online services helped create the mass internet adoption that eventually made today's sophisticated web applications possible. But this success came at the cost of destroying the pioneering company that had invented online life itself. CompuServe's 3 million users in 1997 represented just a tiny fraction of today's 4 billion internet users, yet without CompuServe's foundational innovations, the connected world we now take for granted might never have existed.